West Asia has had a busy week. First, Joe Biden landed with a to-do list. He made a mess of it and returned empty-handed. Then Vladimir Putin went to Iran. He played his cards better than Biden and he's returning with some big wins to Moscow. Putin secured a strategic partnership plus an energy deal. And that's something that Biden too came for, remember. He wanted an oil deal, but the Saudis refused. Putin, on the other hand, landed a $40 billion oil deal. And the big picture does not look good for Washington, D.C. Russia is far from being isolated, let alone being defeated. It is forging new partnerships. With Iran, Putin is creating a new anti-America axis. How will this help Russia? What impact will this have on West Asia and the world? And what role will Turkey play in this new game? We'll discuss all of this in the next few minutes. Starting with what Putin got from his visit to Iran. He made some significant breakthroughs. Let's tell you about the two big announcements that were made. Number one, Iran has backed Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Unlike China, Iran is not being cautious. It is not mincing its words. It has offered its full support to Putin. Let me tell you what Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, told Putin, and I'm quoting, "War is a violent and difficult issue, and the Islamic Republic is in no way happy that civilians get caught up in it. But concerning Ukraine, had you not taken the initiative, the other side would have taken the initiative and caused the war." The other side here being the NATO. So what Iran is saying is this: if Russia had not started the war, the NATO would have. And this is not surprising. Both Iran and Russia consider the West as their enemy. Both face tough Western sanctions. And in geopolitics, common enemies make great friends. The West has isolated both Iran and Russia. So Iran and Russia are now natural allies. Iran is supporting Russia's war on Ukraine. It has also struck a major oil deal with Russia, a deal worth $40 billion. It was signed during Putin's visit. What does the deal entail? Russia will help Iran set up more oil fields and gas projects. And this is significant given their history. Remember, Russia once colonized parts of northern Iran. Today, they've become strategic partners with an oil deal and possibly an arms deal too. The US says Russia wants to buy Iranian drones. The leaders did not mention it yesterday, but reports say Russia is seriously pursuing this deal, the drone deal with Iran. Tehran and Moscow want to further their relationship on three levels: regional affairs, security, and economics. Moving away from the use of the dollar is a priority for both sides. Russia and Iran could build their own banking mechanisms. So Putin has a lot to look forward to when it comes to Iran. We cannot say the same for Turkey, though. Turkey has been mediating between Russia and Ukraine. Erdogan is trying to lift the blockade on Ukrainian wheat exports. There is some progress on that front, and Putin thanked Erdogan for that.
I would like to thank you for your mediation efforts, for providing a platform for negotiations on food issues, on issues of grain transportation over the Black Sea. We have moved forward thanks to your mediation. Not all the issues are resolved, but there is a movement forward, and that is good.
So there seems to be some broad agreement about Ukraine, but when Syria came up for discussion, tensions were once again on display. Russia supports the Syrian regime of Bashar al-Assad. Turkey is preparing to launch an attack. Later, Putin and Erdogan joined Iranian President Raisi for a trilateral meeting. And like I said, Turkey is planning a new military offensive in Syria. Erdogan wants an incursion into northern Syria. He wants to drive away Kurdish fighters from there. Russia and Iran do not like that plan. They warned Erdogan against it.
We emphasize that Syria's fate should be decided by its own people, through internal dialogue and without foreign intervention.
I am confident that our countries will continue to practically reinforce the cooperation on complete liquidation of remaining hotbeds of international terrorism at the Syrian territory. It is necessary to end forever the presence of ISIS and other extremist groups in Syria.
What about Erdogan? The Turkish president is not backing down. He wants both Iran and Russia to support his offensive in Syria.
We see that the YPG terrorist organization is taking steps to consolidate the division in Syria with the foreign support it is receiving. It is impossible to expect Turkey to remain inactive, irresponsible, as this terrorist organization continues its separatist agenda. I hear from you, my dear friends, that you understand Turkey's legitimate security concerns. I am thankful for this, but words alone are not a cure for wounds.
Erdogan is talking about Turkey's legitimate concerns. Iran and Russia are also united in their concerns. They're creating a new axis, a new power center, which makes the chessboard in West Asia very interesting. Now listen to this carefully. Israel and Saudi Arabia are coming closer, but Israel and Iran are sworn enemies. Saudi Arabia and Iran have been enemies, but they're beginning to talk. Russia and Saudi Arabia are partners. And now Russia and Iran are also partners. It's like those logical reasoning questions you get in exams, and this is West Asia for you. Now, Iran is backing Russia and Ukraine. Saudi Arabia, too, is backing Russia. The Saudi foreign minister has spoken out. He has said that Russia is, quote-unquote, an integral part of OPEC+. That's the global alliance of major oil exporters, OPEC+. Riyadh says that without Russia, it would be impossible to ensure a steady oil supply. Where does that leave the US? Isolated, at least in this region. Biden wanted to make Putin a pariah, but in this part of the world, he seems to have lost both Saudi Arabia and Iran. Putin has won this round. WION is now available.